Thank you for joining us today on Decision 2022, NextDoorRadio.com's coverage of our upcoming election. Today, we are joined by Mayor Sandy Roberson. He is running for the 2nd Congressional District Congress, which runs west from Caswell County all the way east to Washington County, which is 18 counties in all. Today, we are very excited to have you, Mayor, and we thank you for coming on Next Door Radio.
Hey, thank you very much for having me. I really do appreciate the opportunity.
Well, I think I have my facts correct, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like you were elected mayor in 2019 of Rocky Mount. You're the current mayor of Rocky Mount, is that correct?
That is correct.
And you actually had bipartisan, pretty significant bipartisan support in your election. I guess that means you're one of the real players across the aisle, and people talk about that, but you actually did it, so that's a great thing. And you've been in the business world for over 40 years. You are conservative. You have conservative values. You claim to be a conservative, and you actually act on them. So I just want the voters to know that there is a conservative movement out there, and you are definitely a part of it. Okay. Sure. Let me ask you this, Mayor. Let's just start out. What are some of your proudest moments as mayor of Rocky Mount?
Well, I'll answer that, but I would like to go back at least to the election, because I think that's a significant point.
Absolutely.
So, in every municipal election that City of Rocky Mount has, it is off cycle, off year, and not even in the same month as the typical general election. So as a result of that, we end up with a fairly small voter turnout. Historically, the mayor of Rocky Mount, that election will see about 5,000 voters. And so what's significant about my election is we got roughly 10,000 voters to show up. And ultimately, I ended up winning approximately 60% of that. Now, City of Rocky Mount, as you may or may not know, is approximately 65% African-American and about 25% Caucasian, with a 10% we'll call other, be it Hispanic and or Asian. And so when you look at the Democrat-Republican spread, it is mostly a Democratic registered city, approximately 70%, and approximately 25% Republican. So to get elected in the City of Rocky Mount, you really do have to have that conversation about crossing the aisles. And as you can see, my profile doesn't typically fit what you would find to be the average resident in the City of Rocky Mount. So I am particularly proud of that election for several reasons. Because I think that people saw leadership, people want leadership, people want to have a plan, have a vision, and have someone who's willing to work and execute that. And so that really is sort of how the business world, the overlap between that and politics, being a job creator, understanding and managing people, and understanding how to hold folks accountable. So as I got elected mayor, that set the stage, very exciting time. Had a number of folks who were absolutely totally in opposition for me. Very rough start. So I think my first month in the job, I get an audit from the state auditor, Beth Wood. And I say, it shows that we have had a councilman who has had $47,704 forgiven for utilities. We've had some other improprieties that certainly show up in the audit, and I'll welcome anybody to go read it. So, of course, I asked for resignations because I feel like this is not right. I call up Josh Stein. I say, Josh, look, I need some help here. You're the Attorney General. I believe that this audit shows some malfeasance and that we need to really begin to investigate it. And what I kept hearing is like, look, that's just not my job. I don't see anything that rises to the level of criminality. I'm going to rely on your local DA to make those determinations. So I did. So I called up our DA, said, hey, I see some problems here, and I need you guys to really start working and focusing on this because I see some real issues. All right, I believe to be issues. And, we could talk about the difference between ethics and criminality, but at some level, when you're using your position to try to gain personally in any way, I believe that's just a challenge. So let me tell you, so I went back and I read the law. And sure enough, locally elected officials absolutely excluded from anything of that nature. I mean, it's just not a problem. And I said, well, this is an absolute issue. Meanwhile, because I've called for resignations, I am getting hammered. You would have no idea the pressure, the anger that really, revolved around this, people trying to make it a racial issue, and on and on and on. So anyway, I looked at it and I called up our state senator, Senator Lisa Barnes, who, by the way, is a fabulous woman who is conservative, understands business, understands all the things that we need in leadership. And I said, Lisa, look, can you help me sponsor a bill that will make this a real ethical and criminal issue? So we were able to draft, I say we, I mean, her team, we helped a little bit, drafted Senate Bill 473, and it passed the Senate, made the crossover, and almost died in the House, but it didn't. So we were able to pass that. The importance of Senate Bill 473 is it creates a Class H felony for individuals who have manipulated or abused power in order to get personal gain, whether that be for the organization they work for or whether that be for them individually. And so that's something I'm very proud of that we've accomplished. Now, that hasn't necessarily moved the needle in and of itself, but what it has done is it set the table to be able to really work through corrupt types of issues. And I've seen a real change in our community. And I've seen a real change in terms of things that, maybe less than above board, so that's something I'm pretty proud of. The other thing is, while the mayor in the state of North Carolina has very little statutory power, I mean, really, I can make a proclamation. I can perhaps give you a key to the city. There are a couple of other things I can declare a state of emergency. It really comes down to the ability to negotiate, the ability to try to think outside the box. And in Senate Bill 473, what you saw is, thinking, okay, well, if I can't, no need to continue to hit the concrete wall, maybe I should try to flank it. Maybe I should go over it or go under it. So in so doing, I have been very supportive of our police. Public safety was the #1 issue that I polled when I was running for mayor. 50% of white population felt like that was issue #1. That's just significant. And 65% of their African-American counterparts felt that was the #1 issue. Now, what does public safety mean to everybody? You can get in all kinds of layers of this, but we have worked on our violent crime statistics, and I'm pleased to report, based on the last information that I received from our chief of police, we were down approximately 21% year over year in violent crime. Right. And so we've really kind of confronted and faced into our issues. That's something I believe that culturally we're changing within the city, and that's something that I believe that is important for everybody to do. Look, it's okay. It's okay to have challenges. It's okay to have problems. What's not okay is to confront them and to address them and to deal with them. In fact, if you don't have problems, you don't make mistakes, you're not doing anything. So I encourage people to move out and reach out. The other thing that we've done is we've really focused on economic development. And I have the opportunity to sit on our regional economic development engine, which is the Gateways Partnership. It's headed by a gentleman by the name of Norris Tolson. And let me tell you, we are doing great things in terms of recruiting jobs to the area, in terms of opportunities that will present. And so those are very, very important things. Now, look, we've only been in this thing 2 years. And keep in mind, so during that 2 years, we've had to address protests in the form of BLM and other. We have had to continue with a large debate on removal of our Confederate monument. We have had COVID for a good portion of this period of time, and we've had state audit. So I feel like while I've been in the job for the better part of 3 years now, it really only feels like about 3 months because everything's been so exceptional in that process. Wow. So, but what I do believe is that it's about setting a culture. It's about setting a direction. It's about setting a path. It's about, frankly, listening to those that you serve. I mean, there is no need to go do something that your constituents don't want. And so that's something that I think we've done in our administration, my administration, and I think that's something that we've been able to relay. And I think that's something that's been beneficial in my ability to be able to negotiate with folks throughout the state, country, and even in our city council.
Well, sounds like you've had a lot of proud moments and a lot of action-packed agenda items kind of checked off in the last couple of years. Well, let's back up just a little bit. What was the driving force behind the decision to run for mayor in the first place? What got you into politics?
I just got angry. I've had I had a great life. I mean, we've had many successful businesses. I've created literally thousands of jobs. I've had a great deal of measure of success, and I've been very blessed in that regard. And then, frankly, I sold the last company that I've been working on. I found myself a great deal of time, and I was looking around, reading the paper, and I'm just seeing median household income is in trouble. I'm seeing a reduction in our population. I'm seeing a general malaise and a general, it became popular for my contemporaries to complain about Rocky Mount and choose to go somewhere else. Mm. And the thing that's important to know during this process, and also was in a divorce during the period of time, I had a bunch of buddies in Nashville, Tennessee, a bunch of buddies in Charleston, a bunch of buddies in Atlanta. And they all said, look, there's no need for you to continue living in Rocky Mount. Come on, come hang out with us. We'll connect you up socially. And I literally went and did an interview with all those cities and looked at housing and that sort of thing. And, I made the conscious decision to come back home. And in making that conscious decision, I saw some of these trend lines that really were not what I wanted. And I think the thing that brought me back, the thing that brought me to the place of running for mayor was the recognition that, look, this is where I'm from. I have family all over Eastern North Carolina. I'm very proud of that. I love the heritage. I love everything that our state has to offer. And instead of running and just moving on, I felt like, look, I have something to offer in terms of my experience. I have something to offer in terms of my thought processes, and I believe my ability to build teams. And so if I can put that service for our city, then we'll end up with some benefit out of it. So that was the genesis story. It really was whether I was even going to stay in the area. And it ended up with, well, gosh, I feel like I can add value. So that's been the reason.
Well, let me ask you just, I guess, just a curious question. Any regrets so far as mayor?
No, none. Yeah, I can't say it's been every day has been fun. I can't say that it's been a bunch of roses, but I can say this: I believe I'm seeing enough movement of the needle that I'm encouraged that I believe I've had some positive influence. And I ran, frankly, not thinking that I had a chance to win. Look, I mean, the numbers do not favor me at all. And so I went and I said, well, I'm just going to have one goal in this process. That one goal is if I can change the conversation in Rocky Mount toward things like economic development, toward improving public safety, toward things that I consider to be mattered, rather than distilling everything down to a racial discourse about whatever, then I feel like I will have won. And so, I did win the position. I think we are seeing those types of changes. We are far from a perfect city. We've got many challenges. And just because we're seeing positive trends now doesn't mean that they stay there forever. But I believe that you just face into your challenges and you come up with a solution and you just work it. And that's the way that you build success.
Very good. Well, let's switch to the more of the national conversation and about actual Congress and what you would do as congressman for District 2. What would be your main focus when you get to Washington, if you get that chance?
Number one, fire Nancy Pelosi. I mean, let's be honest, the Biden administration has been a failed administration. We're seeing increased inflation rates. The progressives have hijacked the Democratic Party, and it's just lending itself to all kinds of bad policies. We've got challenges with the energy production. I think we need to return back to some Trump era policies, like natural resources, like energy, like let's work on our military. We've got some challenges with China. We're seeing unrest in Russia, and I get all that, and those things will change. Those things, each issue will change as time goes on. But here's what I bring. I bring a set of values that are East North Carolina born and bred. They have been refined here. And I believe that those those values when you go to Washington, really become the lens in which I would act. When you start talking about the second congressional district specifically, we have some significant economic challenges. Many large swaths of the district have been just left out economically. Some of that's because of education. Some of it's been because of lack of infrastructure. Some of it's been for different issues. So I think as a congressman, as a practical matter, it's about working with local communities, counties, cities, regions to understand what those needs are. And then how do I help build those infrastructure items? How do I help support that organic development that we need to be seeing in order for all of us to prosper? I think that's something that's often left out of these discussions. I become your representative. I recognize that becomes my job. Yeah, as it relates to the national issues, I'm pro-life. I certainly support gun rights, and I can, give you all those on the items, and I'll vote that way and commit to voting that way. But I think we also need to recognize what has not happened in our district, and how do we bring those resources to bear, and how can a congressman also help influence that? And so that's something that I believe that I bring a unique skill set to as a jobs creator, as someone who has been elected office, someone who understands the culture. I think I bring a unique perspective. And just as importantly, I believe I'm elected in the general.
Gotcha. Well, two last questions. One, do you have a relationship currently with the Washington delegation that's there now?
Sure. I've been up to Washington on a number of occasions and have had a chance to speak with Rouser, with Murphy, and a number of the other folks in our delegation.
Gotcha. You feel like you got a pretty good working relationship with those guys, and in the future could really kind of leverage that relationship?
I believe so, and I believe that I can certainly build that. Look, as my mother used to say, or still says, look, relationship is very, very important. It's so important that Jesus Christ died for a relationship. And so I place that a high importance in my life personally and professionally. And it's about building bridges. It's about finding commonality. And again, toward advancing toward the goal in which we believe in the second district that we need. And that looks like talking to folks who live here. Talks like folks, what do we need to see?
Gotcha. All right. Well, the last question, I guess, is that, there's 12, from what I can dig up, there's 12 declared candidates to date, kind of some of them peripheral. Why should Eastern North Carolinians vote for you to be the next representative in Congress?
Again, I'm from the area. I've been born and bred. I have lived an entire lifetime here. And I believe I need to probably go back and check this. I've created jobs in every one of the 18 counties that we're talking about at some point or another, and continue to do that. And I believe strongly in East North Carolina. And so, that I will do what I say I will do. That's something I'm very proud of. And most folks who have worked with me or had the opportunities to work with me, I believe will absolutely echo that sentiment. And so when it comes down to a man that will represent you with integrity, a man that will represent you with the values that you hold dear, I believe that I'm that guy.
The mayor of Rocky Mount and candidate for Congress in the second congressional district joins us here on our Decision 2022. We like to end our segments here, a part of our Next Door radio coverage here, to kind of give the last couple minutes for a roundtable discussion. Mr. Roberson, you have the floor. Anything that you want to bring up that we haven't discussed today, but the floor is yours.
No, I think I think we've covered the ground pretty well. I'll give you a little snapshot. I think maybe we haven't talked as much about my business career, and I think it's important to know that I have been a job creator. I have been an entrepreneur. I currently run a family office in which we are basically trying to support entrepreneurs and help them develop organizations. And of course, we take positions in that to make that happen. When you look at that, you understand what it's like to make payroll. If you've ever been there, then you get it. And if you haven't, then I can't even describe it. But the level of responsibility that takes in order to prosper, people are depending on you, and you're making those decisions to the best interest and welfare of those around you. I think that you begin to understand why I should be elected in Congress. And so we could go through some successes in my business life. I don't know that is germane to Congress, other than to know that I'm a jobs creator and get it. As it relates to anything else, know this, that I will always think outside the box. I may have limited power, but I always try to leverage it any way I can. I think our experience with Senate Bill 473 is a great example of that. And I'm looking forward to serving folks in Congress.
Thanks, sir.
Well, we have been speaking with Sandy Roberson, the mayor of Rocky Mount, running for the 2nd Congressional District. All 18 counties involved in that, from Caswell County all the way to Washington County. Mayor, we appreciate your time. We thank you for being on Next Door Radio and this coverage of Decision 2022, and we wish you luck in your future endeavors.
Thank you very much. And I appreciate you guys taking the opportunity to interview me, and I hope you have a blessed day.
Thank you
Thanks,
very
sir.
much.